NBA Jam is a difficult game. And it was intended to be hard. No matter how far ahead you are, it seems that the computer will always catch up. Now, part of this is by design. You probably already know about the so-called rubber banding effect, what the game calls computer assistance, and it's pretty frustrating. Computer assistance is an attempt to ensure that every game is close. They did this to keep you sticking quarters in the arcade machine. If one team is behind, its shooting percentages will artificially rise. Additionally, the computer-controlled players start playing better automatically at different points in the game. Now, if you own the arcade version, or if you're emulating the arcade version, you can change some of this stuff up. You can go to the CMOS menu by turning the dip switch for test mode on while the game is turned on. You can change the computer difficulty in this menu. You can also turn the computer assistance feature off if you want. However, when I've played with computer assistance off, I still notice that the computer tends to get better as I build a lead. Now, I have not seen the source code. However, based on what I've read, I'm pretty sure that there's something in the code that makes the computer team get gradually harder as you establish a lead in the game. It also seems that your computer-controlled teammate gets better if your team winds up going down, and I think that this is marked by some of the sounds in the game. So the big question is what you can do about this to make sure you actually win games. Now, I've learned a few things as I've gone back to play again. Well, let's start off first with things that you can do that don't involve cheating. You know, things you can do while you play the game legitimately. Now, you can do fancy things on offense, like get the computer to set a pick for you. In my experience, however, the best offensive strategy is to always go for the dunk. Even the best players will miss dunks sometimes, sure. But great dunkers will make almost all of their dunks. This is preferable to three-point shooting, where even the best three-point shooters tend to miss a lot. And the other offensive strategy is obvious: get on fire. That gives you unlimited turbo, and it basically turns you into a super player. To get on fire, you need to make 3 baskets in a row. Goaltending is a weapon that you should use whenever you can. This is because you can still become on fire if the other team scores points because of goaltending. Now, when you're on fire, you need to shoot threes. Your three-point shooting percentage will go way up. And making a lot of three-pointers is the way that you can build a huge lead. Now, I haven't gotten this far yet, but reports are that you lose being on fire after you score something like 30 points in a row. You can give it a try and see how far you can get. But you still have to remember about the rubber banding effect. Even if you've got a big lead, you need to play defense. Now, my instinct is to always go for the steal or the shove. But that strategy almost always gives the computer a wide open shot. Or if I'm ahead, they'll make a wide open three. What you want to do instead is move back on defense and stay in front of your guy. The computer won't shoot if the guy is not open. Plus, you can get the computer to run the clock way down. Now, if you're on fire, you want to puppy guard the basket. That's because goaltending is not called when you're on fire. Also, you want to try to waste time if you can. But be careful, sometimes the game will punish you for time wasting. Sometimes, of course, you don't want to win the legit way. That's why there are cheats. The NBA Jam arcade games actually didn't have many cheats. Some of these do nothing, like Big Head mode. The shot percentage cheat also doesn't really help you out because it only shows the percentage after you've taken the shot. Now some things do help, like power up defense. You push the steal button 8 times in the tonight's matchup screen. That makes it easy to steal the ball. You can also turn on power up interceptions by holding down and pushing all the buttons until tip off. If you push the steal button 21 times, you'll get a powered up offense. You can also turn computer assistance off by pushing turbo 10 times. And then there's the secret tank game if you really want to play that, but it doesn't really make much of a difference. You can turn on powered up goaltending in Tournament Edition by hitting any button 24 times in a row. And if you're not playing well, you can change your team at halftime. Just hold right and pass until the game lets you change. But the thing is that none of those cheats will make it so that you automatically win. Now, the really fun cheats, the ones that make it so you win, are only on the home versions of the game. For instance, you can make yourself always on fire. You can also turn on infinite turbo. And most famous of all, you can turn on the Dunk from Anywhere code. You see, these are the sort of things that I was thinking about when it comes to cheats. You know, stuff that actually helps you cheat. Tournament Edition on the home versions also has some really wacky cheats. You can turn on the rainbow shots, for example. You can also turn on a slippery mode. And if you want, you can make it so that your passes teleport. Now, the most famous hidden things are probably the hidden characters, some of which I've shown you guys in earlier videos. Carrie Hoskins is probably the most famous arcade hidden character since she was a supermodel, and the old video game magazines kindly reminded us that she once posed for Playboy. There are a bunch of NBA players you can control when you enter in names. This lets you have 2 copies of the same player on the same team, which can be sort of helpful. But once again, the home versions, the Acclaim versions, are where the real fun was. You can play as President Bill Clinton. You can play as Hillary. You can play as any one of the Beastie Boys. Frank Thomas is in the game. So is Will Smith. You can play as the Bulls mascot if you want. You can even play as Larry Bird. The problem, though, is that the game will only save progress under those characters and not under your initials. So if you're playing the arcade version, you want to beat the game using Carrie Hoskins, you have to play as Carrie Hoskins against each of the 27 NBA teams one by one. Anyway, there you have it, some tips on how to beat the game. You can do it legitimately or not, that's really up to you. The arcade version's cheats will help you a little bit, but they're not really overpowered. On the home consoles, however, it's a different story. Personally, though, I prefer to play this game the legit way. And it's a classic that continues to challenge me to this day, and it's a lot of fun, too.